Greetings, Missouri Mid-South Conference. I bring you greetings from beautiful Wichita, Kansas, where I just finished up bringing greetings on your behalf at the Kansas-Oklahoma annual gathering, which was a wonderful time of worship and celebration and fellowship. And indeed, this morning, which is Saturday morning, they voted to become an open and affirming conference. Woohoo! So I was really excited to bring congratulations to them on your and our behalf of the Missouri Mid-South Conference. If I am looking a little dark, I know that the lighting is not the best, but this has been my view of Wichita for the past day, and you know, it's just beautiful. And the rain, it's raining, it's clearing out, and so I thought that I would share this with you. I am aware that this upcoming week is a time of honoring, celebrating, remembering, and preparing for the church because on October 31st, we will be celebrating our 500th anniversary of being the Protestant or protesting church, of being the Reformation, that Martin Luther was so frustrated with the church and the things that he saw were wrong and hypocritical and unhealthy. And he went, he didn't just stay in the parking lot and complain. He went to the front door and he nailed on the front door 95 theses, his 95 concerns about the Catholic Church of the time, which could be the institutional church as well. And out of that came our Reformation, reforming tradition and faith process and transformation, which is a wonderful celebration, and in some ways I think we are continuing to live into that Reformation. I want to lift up our ancestral leaders of both Martin Luther, but those men and women who came after Martin Luther, who paved the way for who and what we are today as the United Church of Christ in that reforming spirit. Because I think in many ways there are many of us who could learn from Martin Luther and those who came after him. Number one, that he was willing to share his frustrations about the church in a healthy way. He didn't go in the parking lot and moan and groan and, oh, if they would only do this, or he wasn't passive aggressive. He nailed it to the door and said, here's what we need to reform together. Number two, he did that because of his deep love for the church. You don't do that unless you really love the church. Now, some may say, hey, you know, sometimes there's complaining and moaning and groaning and all of that, and there certainly is that. But the folks who stay at the table, the folks who stay to shape the reforming of the church and the transformation, those folks do it because they love the church. And in our local churches, in our conference, in our denomination, there are also those folks who there are valid, healthy concerns, critiques that they have, and they offer it because they and we love the church on its good day, when it's healthy, when it's affirming, when it's welcoming, when it's filled with God's peace in all of us. That's the moment where we come to the table in a reforming spirit. But also I acknowledge and I celebrate, thirdly, that the change that Martin Luther nailed on the front door of the Catholic Church was both, the change was immediate and emergency in need. It needed to happen quickly, but also the change took years and decades and centuries to live into in terms of who and what God is calling us to be. And I think that that's very telling for us as well, because change in our local churches, change in our conference, change in our denomination, it's both immediate in terms of things that are emergent and emergency that need to happen, but also change that's going to take a while in terms of how do we develop this in a systemic way that truly absorbs all of the different levels of change that this requires. And that is not necessarily an excuse to say, change is going to take forever. But it's a way to say, we have the change that happens now, and then we understand that the systemic change of the institution of the church takes longer and needs to take longer in order to continue. So as we honor and observe the 500th anniversary of the Reformation of the church, the Christian church, let us, number one, celebrate our ancestors, men and women who, in their own way, in their own style, like Luther, nailed the 95 Theses to the front door. They didn't do it in secret. They didn't do it in passive-aggressive ways. They nailed it to the front door to say, change needs to happen, and I wanted to be a part of this, also because they love the church, and because in this way, what we do together, that change is both immediate and it is long-term. So in our local churches, may we honor and remember and support those reformers who are seeking to help us to be the church that we have been called to be by God. And let us acknowledge and respect and live into those 95 Theses. Let us honor the love of the Big C Church, from which they seek transformation and reforming. And let us be about change, the change that needs to happen immediately and the change that is ongoing and may take longer than yours and my lifetime put together. This is an exciting time to be the church. So let us be to the church together this day and forevermore. Missouri Mid-South Conference. In the name of God our Creator, the Christ who teaches us to love in shadow and in light, and the Holy Spirit that comes and moves among us this day and forevermore. Amen.